Good evening and welcome to your Monday night. It is Avenger Pretenders, and we are back once again just for you. It is I, JT the Redneck. I'm bringing Mr. Sully the Geek, dragging him behind me to get this thing going. This week, we are reviewing episode 2 of season 2 of Loki. So, grab yourself your favorite adult beverage and or whatever you want to drink, something to snack on. Sit down in your favorite chair, relax, and enjoy the ride. Sully, it's all yours.
Oh, I thank you, sir. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Avenger Pretenders. As JT said, I am Sully, the geek portion of the show, and he, of course, is the redneck. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. It's been interesting, to say the least, over the last, week or so.
Yeah, just the last half hour.
Also true. Also true. But the good thing is all is well. That will end well. And we're on episode 2 of Loki season 2. And man, let me tell you, normally I get a message from Lady Death or even JT while they've either watched it or they are watching it. I did not get such messages this week. Lady Death wants to know what happened in the last half hour. That is a story for tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
so you'll have to be tuned in for that tomorrow. But the good thing is all is good. All is good. She said, sorry, I was trying to behave. You did a phenomenal job. Phenomenal job behaving. Like
Believe me when I tell you, that's hard for her.
It really is. With the amount of years that we've known her, and I mean, you've known her longer than I have, which is perfectly fine. It comes down to her trying to get information out of me.
She's trying to milk you for info, huh?
Yeah, and she can hold her own when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She really can.
Yes, she can.
Which is excellent, by the way. But I have to laugh because I thought I would have gotten a message of holy shit, that type of thing, and I never got that this week. So I don't know if the episode was shocking for her or if maybe something was just not there. Maybe she just didn't enjoy it. Usually I get messages from people, usually.
Right.
And that's okay if I do. Eventually I think I'm going to just create a channel in Discord where we can just talk about that stuff, behind the scenes type thing.
Right. Nikaya says, only if I am really, really confused and I need help.
Which makes sense. Again, it makes sense. Absolutely.
And don't get me wrong. Very, very interesting episode. Very interesting episode.
Yeah, you liked that, didn't you?
I did. And again, I have to credit Marvel with their attention to detail.
Yes.
And the reason I say that, it's later in the episode, so I'm not going to go into it. But later in the episode, the details, the minor, very small little freaking details that they looked at as they were making this that whether you think about it or not, you may not realize just how much it really drives home the time frame that they're in.
Yes. And there's rumors going around about that time frame, by the way. A lot of rumors going around that
I can see why with how the episode ended.
So one of the rumors that's going around is that Loki is taking place hundreds to thousands of years
ahead of time. Mm-hmm.
Because
I could see where people would get that.
Because they're on the timeline. There's stuff branching off and all that stuff. So you're gonna get that, okay? But the big thing is that time works differently for the TVA, which is completely understandable, And as Lady Death just said in our chat room, she could see a massive cluster. Yeah, big time.
Yeah,
and we're seeing it because that's really what this whole entire episode is about. It's on the verge of exploding.
It's on the verge of melting down the timeline.
Yeah, it's like,
and as he says in the episode, it would be the end of everything.
Yes, the end of everything. So let's get right down into it. Let's get to the nitty gritty here because
real quick.
Yep.
I want to say hi, obviously, to Nikaya in the chat room with us. Our good friend from across the northern border, the queen of the crochet needle, Miss Carol, is with us as well.
Yes.
And I do know that Mr. Ian, a.k.a. Laserman, he is tuned in as well. He's back at work tonight.
Boo.
He's tuned in, and if he has any comments, he will shoot them to me.
Oh, so. I'm sure he will because he always does. But the start of this episode, we start in 1977 London, where we find Hunter X5, who, if you remember correctly, at the end of last episode, was part of the search party that was going after Sylvie. So he was part of the troopers all going through that door to find Sylvie, but decided to go AWOL instead. So he's on the run. He abandoned his post. He's no longer a part of the TVA. And he wants to live out his life. Completely understandable. Right. However, since he's living on the sacred timeline, he has chosen to be an actor. An actor in movies. A cinema actor. Doing what he wants to do.
Well, he's living the previous life that he had before he was stolen.
Yes.
Or kidnapped, or whatever you want to call it, by the TVA.
Yes.
Nikaya says, and he just noped his ass out of there.
He did. Absolutely, he did.
Ian installed the Twitch app on his phone.
Nice.
Great to have you with us,
nice.
Mr. Ian.
So in the long run, he's now making movies, and he's going by Brad Wolf. Now, I will say that this scene alone has a few Easter eggs. One that's noticeable, but you have to kind of, what's the word? Blink and you miss it type of thing. Yeah. It's a blink and you miss it type of thing. One of the main Easter eggs in this scene alone, obviously they're at the premiere of this movie in London. The movie, which I thought was crazy, was the fact that they made a movie based off a comic book.
Imagine that. That's never happened before.
No way. The movie that he made is called Zaniac. And Zaniac, this is so cool. So this Zaniac as an Easter egg ties to the dark dimension. Okay. So obviously this would tie to Dormammu, Doctor Strange, Thor, whole bunch of other things.
See, now from the poster,
Yeah.
the feel that I got was Wolverine-ish from the face and everything,
Yeah.
and the way the hair was and all that. I got personally, I got a Wolverine-ish feel to the movie. So
Okay, completely understandable.
know.
You know what? I'm gonna post a picture because picture says 1,000 words, really. Because the minute
Yes.
you see the picture, Lady Death says it looks like a really bad zombie movie. It's gonna be a lot worse.
Not
than
far
that.
off.
It's actually gonna be a lot worse than that because
But still not far off.
yeah, no, not far off at all. But when you see it, you're gonna be like, that's not a zombie movie at all.
Yeah, no.
It'll be so bad that you're just gonna be like, no. Doesn't work that way. No. Okay. That's the beauty of it. So at first I was like, Zaniac. Where do I know Zaniac from? And then I went, oh, that's where I know Zaniac from.
Well, the other thing that popped in my head was, we're maniacs.
So I'm just going to do a little picture-in-picture at the moment. And you can see now, mind you, this is the picture you see right here on the screen. That is Zaniac from the Dark Dimension. Looks like an alien / bug type character.
It looks like a freaking rabid worm on crack.
Rabid worm on crack.
A rabid worm on crack.
Okay. All right.
Or, well, actually, no. A rabid zombie worm on crack, because it does have arms. So,
Okay. All right. So, clearly, it's some type of vermin, basically. It really is.
something along the lines of crow, like
Rats.
maybe something like crows, but with
Yeah.
bugs.
Well, so it is technically a demon.
Mhm.
Okay. But it's like they can basically possess you. They're like a parasite, if you think about it. And they can, join you and create some type of symbiotic bond where they're in control. It's bad. And Dormammu used them a lot.
Gotcha,
So
gotcha.
to back Lady Death up on saying, yeah, it looked like a really bad zombie movie, that's why. That's why. But at the same time, during this wonderful movie premiere, this is where Loki and Mobius show up and like, hey buddy, how's it going? Can't wait. This is going to be great. Are you making a sequel? Can't wait for the sequel. It's going to be fantastic.
He's
and
a
then-
liar.
And that's when he decides to run. And it was classic because it was just one of those he's running, isn't he? Yep, he's running from you. Yep, absolutely he is.
And he's sitting there. He's like, okay, we'll do whiskey. He walks off, and Loki's like,
Yeah.
is he running yet?
Lady Death says, a parasite, huh? That could fit so many people. Yes.
Yes, it could.
Yes, it can. Which, perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. So, as he's on the run, X5 is doing what he needs to do. He's escaping the theater, running through the streets. And Loki and Mobius and B-15, looking very lovely, by the way, detains him. They catch up to him, and Loki uses, as Mobius put it, don't you think you went a little over the top with the shadows? And Loki went, no.
I thought they were perfect.
Perfect. So they finally capture him in an alley with multiple Loki presence and shadows, and the shadows grab him. So
that was cool.
Yeah,
that was really, really cool.
Yeah, you can see, because throughout the Marvel films, you could see that Loki's powers haven't fully developed yet. You can see that. Yes, he's a trickster. Yes, he's powerful. Yes, he uses magic. But one thing that the first season taught us was that he has not opened up his full potential of his powers. He hasn't.
Right. Well, and what I found, what was really cool about the shadow scene, what really got me, was how the shadows did not copy Loki as he was.
Nope. No, they did not.
They manifested the true Loki with the horn helmet and everything. That I thought was a really, really cool touch.
Oh, yeah, it was a great nod to the way he used to look.
Mm-hmm.
Very great nod. Well, what they decide to do is, once they detain him, they bring him back to the TVA. They put him into a temporal loom, I believe they call it. So it's a prison, but more a temporal loom.
It's a holding cell.
Yeah, pretty much. They decide
that's supposed to mess with your head.
They bring OB into it, and he notices that he modified his tempad. But he couldn't do it right. He couldn't fix anything right now or find it because he was working on this temporal loom, which, if you remember from the first episode, temporal loom, bad.
Right.
Bad. We're all going to die.
Well, and
bad.
The weird thing was that, OB asked him, do you want me to work on this? Or do you want me to, continue to try to save our lives?
Yes.
You're like, well, no, you concentrate on it. But then he pulls out the TVA manual and says, that's good. You guys can handle it anyway because I wrote about it, everything in here.
In this book, yes.
And it's like, no, wait a minute. How did you write about that if it just now happened?
Yeah. They went back in time.
I mean, that popped in my head. It's like, wait a minute.
So you got to remember, OB is the one who created the Tempads to begin with, and he is hundreds and hundreds of years old. So he wrote the book, literally. Yeah. Here's the manual. Wrote the book. So
even Nikaya thought that. Like, wait a minute.
Listen, it's okay. It's okay if you thought that. But he basically wrote the book. Here's how you use it. Did you read it? Did you read it? Well, while they were looking at the Tempad, they were trying to figure out what exactly he did, and they were taking it apart, putting it back together. Loki doesn't know this stuff. Mobius kind of knows it, but Loki doesn't have a clue.
And they're trying to read through the manual, through the different steps and everything, and they're screwing everything up.
Which it reminded me of when we get a new toy or something that we have to put together, and we don't read the instruction manual. Well, if you put this here, nope, didn't work. I got extra screws. Where do those go? That type of thing. That was the first thing that came across my head. I'm like, I can see this happening. But while they're doing that, Casey, if you don't remember who Casey was, he was the one who kept running into Loki in the past and the present of when he was getting pulled apart through reality. And he let them know that, what was it? Renslayers, Ramona Renslayer. They actually accessed her tempad and found out that Miss Minutes was helping her, which is why we haven't seen Miss Minutes yet.
Mm-hmm.
So now that's interesting, Sugar. Because
Yeah, it was interesting when that was revealed.
Lady Death says, "Damn, damn traitor." But you gotta remember,
it was interesting when it was revealed that Miss Minutes was working with Renslayer.
well, you gotta remember, and this is why it really didn't shock me too much. Not exactly a traitor, because Miss Minutes was designed by He Who Remains as his assistant.
Good point.
So doesn't really faze me a bit, but the fact that she's helping Renslayer, that is going to be the driving force around this one, because she obviously has an alliance with He Who Remains, who is now dead. So she's still on the run. And the only reason why he's dead is because Sylvie decided to stab him and kill him. So the fact that the two of them are working together, that makes things very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because they still don't know. Excuse me. Wow. I'm gonna die. I'm dying. They don't know. They don't know where she is. Lady Death says, but is he really dead? Yes. He Who Remains is dead. However, Kang the Conqueror and all of his variants are still very much alive. Now, I've told JT this numerous times. I've told everybody numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
Kang the Conqueror, the real and true Kang the Conqueror, not the one we saw in Ant-Man, but Kang the Conqueror,
Mm-hmm.
makes Thanos look like a fly flying around a pile of shit.
Mm.
He makes Thanos look like an annoyance.
Me. A wimp.
Which one?
I said me, a wimp.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. So,
And Nakia says, but is he really dead?
no, he's not. He's not. He Who Remains is, yes. But that's just one of many, 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 many variants. One
Right.
of many variants. So while they're figuring out that Renslayer and Miss Minutes are working together, and they find out that Renslayer was a partner of He Who Remains, dun dun dun, Casey notices the X5's tempad and goes, oh, there you go. He didn't do any of what you're thinking. He figures it out. He goes, he didn't block the tracking. He just did this. Go talk to them. Go talk to him. See what he did. All right. Let's do it. Let's play good cop, bad cop. Not the greatest thing to do with Loki. Not the greatest thing. Mostly because you don't want to get under Loki's skin.
Yeah. Not a good idea.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. X5 or Brad doesn't want to tell them a thing. Doesn't want to say anything. So he's going to get under their skin. Lady Death says more like good cop and Loki. Yeah, pretty much. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I will say, Loki did keep a level head in there. Mobius, not so much. Mobius, not so much. Because he got under both of their skins. Because he wasn't saying anything. So while they're, Mobius hits him and leaves, Loki's like, I thought you just, whoa, time out, man. I thought you just told me to not do anything. Which was shocking that Loki actually, held himself together and didn't attack.
Well, especially when he brought up his mother.
Oh, yeah. Don't bring up
He
Mom.
brought up his mother. I'm like, oh, shit. And even Mobius was like, uh-oh.
Well, he brought up his mom. He brought up Thor. He brought up his dad. He brought up everybody.
Yeah. But, I mean, personally, for him, I think Mom was the worst one that he could have brought up.
Yes. Yes. But at the same time, don't do it. Don't do it. You don't want to piss off the god of mischief. Okay? You don't. Lady Death says she was proud of Loki. And, yeah, that was bad. You never bring up the mom. Never.
Yeah. Not a good idea.
No, not at all. I lost one of my pages. I'm trying to get it back here because I had.
Don't you hate it when that happens?
Yeah, especially since I didn't mean to do it. And then I finally pulled it back up. Because obviously we've got references and all that stuff. Now, mind you, the episode is called Breaking Brad. So clearly it is a nod to Breaking Bad, but really has nothing to do with it. But at the same time, while they're going down the hallway, they're talking to each other, Loki's like, dude, chill out, man. He's being like the whole level-headed one. They decide we need to talk. And Loki says, you want some pie?
Well, it was funny because they were just walking. They were walking and talking back and forth and everything. And they end up right there I can't remember what the name of the room was. Because they had it right above their heads. But they ended up in the room where all the pie was.
Oh, yeah. It was like their mini cafeteria.
Yeah. But, Mobius is like, I don't know. I was following you. And Loki's like, I was literally behind you.
I was behind you. Like, hello.
So how about some key lime pie?
Yes, that's what I want. Key lime pie. And while they're talking about this, Mobius tells Loki that unlike X5, and I thought this was really cool, he had no intention of seeing what his life was like before the TVA. He didn't want to know.
Right.
He liked being a part of the TVA. That was his job. That was his life. That's what he remembers. That's what he wants to stay with. And they finally get to the point of, okay, well, if that's the case, let's get him. Let's get him and let's do what we need to do to get that information out. So they go back to the jail cell and they bring this weird looking machine.
Yeah, that was. It looked like a freaking Stanley steamer carpet machine,
Right? Like one of those.
that somebody got a hold of, and that Tim Allen got a hold of and souped up. You know.
Yeah. More power. Oh, oh, oh. Oh.
Arr.
Oh. 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 Well,
Okay. Come back to us.
well,
Come back to
the
us.
good thing about this machine is all they did was call it the Gizmo. That's it. That's all it was. The Gizmo. And the best part about it is the two of them wheel this thing into the room and they're setting it up. They're just running wire, plugging it in, so, like you would an old Stanley steamer cleaner.
Yeah.
Thing was massive. And the best part is X5 is like, oh, you're never gonna use that on me. You're wasting your time. And the best part is that both Loki and Mobius are bickering with each other of who's going to use it, who should set it up. Oh, we forgot this. We need to go out here and get that. And Loki closes Mobius out of the room. And while he's doing that, he just looks at X5 and goes, "You're with me now."
Yeah, I love how he got Mobius out of the room and then bang, locked the door.
Just locked it, and here we go. Here we go. This is what's going to happen. Eventually, he keeps asking the questions of where's Sylvie, where's Sylvie, where's Sylvie? Where is she? Where on the sacred timeline? Over and over. But every single time he does it, the box that's around X5 is getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
He's playing with her. I loved how he crushed the bench.
Oh, yeah.
Where he put he's like, I'm not really sure. What's this button do? And ping, the box pops up around the stool.
Yep. And then crushes
it.
it.
What does this do? And it's, it goes from this tall to that tall, and great effects to be convincing Mr. X5 that he really doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Yeah. And eventually he admits that he found her. He found Sylvie and said that she made a new life for herself. She's living life. She's doing what she wants and needs to do. But not a good thing. Not a good thing. Great for her, bad for him, because he not only abandoned his post, but he also has information that we don't yet know. So, while that's happening, OB is working on a stabilizer for the temporal loom because all hell's about to break loose. But he's got no access to the blast doors.
Doors won't open for him.
The doors won't open. They won't respond to any of his commands. And he says, hello, this is going to happen. Help us out. Why can't I get in? And at the same time, B-15 and Casey, he tells the two of them, I'm the creator of this system and I can't get in. What's happening? What is happening? And apparently, the only one with the override is he who remains. He who remains.
You were going to say he who shall not be named.
I almost did, yeah. Which is true.
Yeah,
which is true.
I've thought it many times.
He who remains, which means now, ruh-roh, because now you got to find Miss Minutes because he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Because now Miss Minutes is the only other person that can override the system. Not a good thing. They're all going to die. they're not all gonna die.
And that's what Obi's saying. He's like, we're all dead.
We're all dead. We're all gonna die. But we get to the point in time where X5 finally says, listen, I will bring you to Sylvie. But you got to let me go back to my time. You got to let me go back and do what I was doing, live my time, blah, 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 blah. That's all he wants. Great. Perfect. That's all you're going to get. Well, was it 1982, I believe is the term, right? Is the year. So we go back to 1982, and both Loki and Mobius and X5 are now in the McDonald's that we last saw Sylvie in. Only this time, actually, instead of in front of the counter.
Right. Actually, that's in the 70s, 1970s.
Was it the 70s? No.
Yep.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Let me go back to my notes. Aha! 1982. I was right. You were wrong. Nah. 70s were Brad and as X5. X5 is Brad Wolf. 77, great year. Star Wars came out that year.
Right. So she came into the world in the 70s, but when she settled down into it,
no.
The time that elapsed took it up into the 80s then.
No.
Gotcha.
I just went back to the first episode last week.
Was it 1980?
Yep. Broxton, Oklahoma, alternate 1982, entering a McDonald's restaurant. And she asks they ask what she wants, and she says something not pertaining to the likes of squirrels, possums, or rats. Preferably something already dead and without a face.
I don't know why I was thinking 70s then.
I don't know, man. That was weird.
Weird.
It was weird. But
very interesting.
Yes, indeed. So, but now instead of in front of the counter, she's behind the counter. She's working for the McDonald's. Yay. And
looking, may I say, very young for her age.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Looking very,
very young for her age.
Very, very young. While they're there, Mobius and X5 decide, well, Mobius decides he's going to get some food because why not? Right?
Specifically an apple pie.
Yep. And X5 is very like, no, I don't know. We shouldn't be here. And this is where we start seeing a conversation between Loki and Sylvie, because Sylvie recognizes him, and he tells her that he has witnessed the disaster of the TVA in the future, which is true, because while he was time hopping, he ran into her in the future, and he doesn't know why. So all he wants to do is tell her what's going on. What are we doing? Blah, blah, blah. And she says, I know nothing. I know nothing. I don't want to know nothing. I don't want to be a part of it. Leave me out of it. I don't want anything to do with the TVA or you. And Loki clearly has a heart of gold now, folks. We knew eventually it would happen. You know, it just goes to show that his character has evolved over the years. And he tries to tell her that it's you, me, Mobius. We're it. We're the only line of defense of what could possibly happen in the future. We're the ones who can fix it. Because he who remains has a lot of variants. But Sylvie wants nothing to do with it. And that's fine. Well deserved. She did her thing. She's good. But and I stress the but, Mobius notices that X5 is doing that whole sitting on the bench and moving his legs up and down, nervous tick type thing.
Mm.
And he goes, "What's with you? Have an apple pie." Rather not. And then he finally tells him, "We need to go. We need to get out of here. We need to leave now, and here's why."
Yeah, because he was acting really funky. It took Mobius a long time to realize that, because I kind of picked it up at the very beginning when they first got there.
Yes.
When the three came out, and they were sitting there out front of the restaurant talking about it, and he's automatically trying to get the hell out of there.
Yes.
And it's like, what's going on? Why is he so anxious? I can't see him being that anxious about her, about Sylvie.
Yeah, no, he's
So
not anxious at all.
Why is he so panicked? And it just got worse and worse and worse the longer they were sitting there. And it surprised me that it took Mobius that long to catch on that something was going on.
Yes.
That there's something, had to be something else more going on than just him being scared of Sylvie.
Yep. So what happens?
No reason
then,
for him to be afraid of Sylvie.
What happens then is, he obviously tells Mobius, and they go outside and go, we got a problem. So Sylvie decides to use her magic to get X5 to tell them what is going to happen. And we find out that Dox, who we saw in that first episode, and all of her loyalists are planning to destroy and prune all of the branching timelines.
And theirs was one of them.
And yes, that was one of them. So because they needed to know where they are, they decide, all right, let's go stop them. Let's right. do what we need to do. And as what would you call it? I would probably call it like a rotunda, right? Because they had a whole bunch of doorways open to all the different branches, and you can see
it was a giant warehouse.
Yeah, it was
that they were in, and they were just doors popping up left and right, people going in, coming out, and the whole 9 yards. So it was interesting.
And as everything was starting to come into play, obviously Mobius, Loki, and Sylvie are doing what they need to do in order to disarm the people, stop them from doing what they're doing. And they have Casey and OB with, I think B-15 was there too. They were in like the main control room to stop and keep an eye on it. And OB was trying to reset all the charges so it wouldn't go and explode and do what they needed it to do.
Right.
But unfortunately, they were not fast enough, because they literally purged a lot of the different branches of that timeline.
At one point, not OB, but the other geeky guy, I can't think of his name.
Casey.
The really smart one that's pretty much memorized the TVA manual.
Yeah, Casey.
Yeah. At one point he stated that they had pruned 30%.
Which was a lot.
That's a lot. When you look at, if you have the separate images of that monitor that shows the timeline, if you had before and afters of that, I mean, I would say they probably got more than 50% by the time they were able to stop it, that they probably pruned more than 50% of the branches. If you were to compare the two TV pictures.
Yeah,
from before it and from after they stopped it, I'm
looking to see if they have a really good picture of it.
Because the before, that was all you saw was branches.
Yes.
Going every freaking where, and it covered the entire screen almost.
let's see here. I'm looking for like the specific one where it shows it on the monitor. No, not that one. So, okay, so here's one of them. Nope, wrong one. Ah, I want just the picture.
Right.
Let's see. Oh. There it is. There it is. Allow me to, I'll show everybody. I'll show you. So now, mind you, this image is not from this week's episode, but it is what happened after He Who Remains was killed. So that's what the timeline currently looked like before they decided to prune all the branches. So you can see,
Right.
you know, you can clearly see, here's the main timeline right in the center there. And these are the branches. They're all branching off. They're doing whatever they need to do. They're all creating their own timeline, so on and so forth. And there's millions and billions of people with their own lives doing what they want to do.
Right. And like you said, this isn't from, this week's or last week's episode, because in this week's and last week's episodes, there was probably triple the amount of lines on there.
Yes.
I mean, it almost covered the entire screen. But if you think back
here's a
to
good
episode one.
Here's a good one. Hold on. I got a better one of what it looks like.
While you're pulling that up.
Yep.
If you think about it, at the end of episode one, right?
Yep.
When they're walking down the hallway and there's trooper after trooper after trooper after trooper walking through that door.
Yep.
Or that gateway, I'll call it. And the comment that was made was, all that for Sylvie?
Yep.
And that's when the episode ended, right after they showed the top lady.
Yep. So here you can see, this is the timeline currently right here. And you can see there's more branches. There's stuff breaking off. It's just chaos.
Yeah, it's chaos.
Mobius is here. Loki is here. They're in the room. This is it's just pure chaos. Okay. And then, let me see. Ooh, this one's an even better. This one's a GIF. Let me see. This is where Loki is trying to find Mobius right here. So you got Casey right next to him. Okay. And you can see it's just a GIF. But you can see the branches are everywhere. Right. Everywhere. And, Loki's like, where's Mobius? I need to find him. What's going on? So from there, let me see. Nope. I just had a really good one where it showed the partial survival of the branches. Here it is. Here's a good one. So let me... No, it's not what I wanted. I want the picture. I want the picture. Damn it, Bobby. I want the picture, Bobby. That way we can sell our propane where we need to sell our propane. And here is the timeline now. So this is after 30%, right? 30%?
Well, when in the middle of it, before they were able to stop it, Casey stated that they had pruned 30% at that point.
Yes.
So you got to figure there was more. I would say more than 50% of the timelines were pruned.
At least, because look at this image. You've got all these broken timeline branches, and you got some that still survived. They're there.
Yeah.
But that's after what just happened. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of troops, and you got to figure they were walking in, placing the bomb, walking out.
Right.
Going to the next one, walking in, placing the bomb, walking out. It's not like they were sitting there waiting for it to go off.
Right.
They go in, set the time or set the bomb, and go out. So there were a lot in place when they first started popping up, because when they first started popping up on the monitor, they were everywhere.
Oh, yeah, it was chaos.
I mean, there were probably 15, 20 of them right at the start when they started going off. So it was, and what I really liked was the reaction.
Yeah.
The reaction from everybody in that control room, realizing now, after season 1, how many lives they were taking.
Were just purged.
Yeah, and the lady, she's like, that's millions and millions of lives.
Yep.
Just gone.
I mean, really, if you think about it, the casualties, countless.
Oh, because in the multi-billions, the quadrillions.
They were just centering on Earth. They were just centering on Earth. That's the timeline everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah.
So, oh boy. After they bring Docs in into custody and all the other loyalists, I guess you could say, they got them all. They brought them in for questioning and arrested them.
I think that's actually what the one guy called them.
Loyalists.
Loyalists. So. What's her name? Loyalists.
Yeah, Doc's loyalists is what
right.
I believe he said. But from there, Sylvie goes through the door too into the TVA, and looking at everything and seeing everything, she looks at Loki and says, "The TVA is the problem."
Right.
And she just walks right back through the door, back to her timeline. And that's it.
She says, I'm going back to my timeline if it's still there.
If it's still there, whatever's left. And then that was it. It was over. The episode was over. This
was a quick ending.
It was very quick. The episode alone was almost an hour. It was a 48-minute episode.
Yeah.
And even watching it, Christy was watching it, and she goes, "It's over already?" Like, yep. It's a very fast-paced show right now.
Yes.
Very fast-paced.
It did not feel like a 48-minute episode.
No. So, obviously, before we get into our ratings, here's some of the Easter eggs. We've got the reference to Breaking Bad by naming it Breaking Brad. 1977 was the year that Star Wars actually came out in the theaters. But if you also notice, one of the movie posters has what is it? One of the characters from Eternals, the actor who played, what is it? I think it was Kingo. One of his, quote, family members, also known as one of the people that he played throughout the years because he's an Eternal, had a movie poster. They walked right by the movie poster.
Didn't get that one.
Which one?
I said, didn't catch that one.
Yeah, it's as they're walking to the theater, so they come right through the door from the TVA, and they're walking to the theater. Gotcha. You can see this huge poster right there, gotcha. And he walks right by it. So it's technically Kingo's father.
Mm-hmm.
But as you go past that, there's also a movie called Phone Ranger. Now, Phone Ranger is another superhero.
Oh, jeez.
And this is why I love Marvel, because they put all these different like obscure type things into their shows. But phone I don't know if I want to show. I'm going to show this. I'm going to show the picture. I got to show the picture. Because if I don't show the picture, people are going to be like, why didn't you show the picture? This is hysterical. I will show the picture of Phone Ranger, okay? Because it's just too good. It's just too good. You're going to see this picture and you're going to be like, what is that? So, Phone Ranger... I'm only going to show part of his outfit because if you think about it, it's really just an Iron Man with a phone on him. Here's the picture I'm talking about. Oh, good old Phone Ranger. He looks like Iron Man with a phone on his head.
Oh, jeez.
Phone Ranger. Phone Ranger.
That's sad. That is truly sad.
Phone Ranger, also known as A.G. Bell. He used to be a telephone repairman.
I'm with Nikaya. Nikaya says WTF.
Hey, listen.
I'm with her.
It's all good. It's all good. Let me see. A.G. Bell was a telephone repairman who was sent to fix a phone that, unknown to anyone, was actually acting as a prison for a small race of aliens known as the Celtas. They had left the day before, accidentally freed when the phone was broken, but Bell found the Celtas technology in the device, replicating it in his home. He found it to be used to tap into any communication technology and decided to use it to fight crime. But also he fell victim to the scourge of the underworld. But the good thing is the phone on his head deflected a bullet and saved his life. So
nice. One of my favorite references was when Mobius and Loki were having their pie.
Ah, yeah.
And it was actually, I'll wait to go into what my favorite one was when I do my review.
Yeah. So obviously we have Zaniac, the movie Zaniac, which is clearly, another Marvel comic. But we also have Bridget Bardot. And during the premiere, Brad Wolf here's where it was told about rumors that he's dating a woman by the name of Bridget Bardot. And in actuality, Bardot was a major French model, singer, and actress from the 50s to the 70s. But Wolf declined to comment on the issue. Oh, gotta love it. The also cool thing is the shadow, the shadow, I guess you could say puppets that he did, where he is starting to use his new powers, clearly. We also have a reference to Frigga, his mother, where, during the interrogation, they're doing what they need to do, and they mention Thor the Dark World and his role in his mother being killed, which X5 knows about. But the other reference was also Loki trying to take over Tony Stark in Avengers. And it didn't work. And he brings up how mad it made him. and that whole situation made his father and brother pissed off. So that worked out well. Uh, finding Sylvie in Oklahoma with the McDonald's. Listen, I don't know what they did, but they made that McDonald's almost spot on accurate. From the tables, the chairs that spun around in one position, to the uniform, the board, like you name it. I was amazed at how they recreated that. I really was. They mentioned Sylvie and killing over 400 of the TVA's Minutemen. And
he actually tried to use that as an excuse to get out of there.
Yes. And the other thing, which was interesting when I first saw it, was that Sylvie actually had the talisman from He Who Remains after she killed him. So that tool itself, if you think about it, it's kind of enhancing some of the stuff that she's doing. So I thought that was very, very interesting that they did that.
Yeah.
But I loved the classic Marvel references. So, with that being said, JT, my friend, what do you give this week's episode?
I'm going to give this week's episode a 3 3/4.
Oh, a little on the low side, I thought, but not. I'd love to know why.
On the low side, little on the low side. Still a good. Like I said, it was a great episode. I love the attention to detail again, and the one that I was talking about in the beginning of the show was: did you look at the cash registers?
Yes.
That they had in the McDonald's.
Yes.
They were the exact cash registers that they used.
Yep.
In those days.
Spot on accurate.
Very, very cool. Yep. The uniforms were exactly what they were back in the day. And that's why I say the attention to detail that they're paying in these episodes is truly amazing. My favorite reference, like I started to say earlier, was when Mobius and Loki were having their key lime pie. And Loki talked about, hey, do you remember the time? And it was when he tried to take over the world and, starting with New York, and they got in the fight and he got pissed off and threw Tony Stark off of Stark Tower.
Yep.
One of my favorite references from the show. And there was a lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
Very fast paced. And you don't hear me say this very often. Almost too fast paced. Almost.
It was very fast paced.
There was a lot of shit flying in a lot of directions all at the same time. And it was this close to being too hard to keep to track.
Yeah, it was a little bit, but I will agree with you. It was at that, I want to say the breaking point. It was the break, like that line. You didn't want to cross that line.
It was right on the edge. So they didn't push it too far.
Yeah.
But it came close. But it was a great episode. I truly enjoyed it. It's going to be very interesting to see where they go from here.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, at the end of the episode, Sylvie's like, you know what? I'm going home. Screw you. But here was you remember earlier I made the reference to how young she looks.
Yes.
In this timeline. Look at the young kid that she talks to at the end of the episode. Because remember, X5 said that she had created a new life in this timeline.
Yes.
And something tells me that has to do with the kid that she talked to at the end of the show.
So, don't overlook it.
My theory.
Don't overlook it. Because if you remember that conversation, she asked him if he needed a ride home or if he'd be okay waiting.
If his mom was coming again.
Yeah. So So that's neither here nor there. Don't overlook it.
Don't overlook it or don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it. Sorry.
Okay.
Don't overthink
it was just, it was just the way that it went and everything. But then she pulled out that freaking talisman or whatever it was that she pulled out at the very end.
Yep.
And it lit up and she was looking at that. So it's like, wonder where they're going to go with this. I'm interested to see where they go with this next.
I think because of that talisman, she saved her timeline.
Nakaya says that she gives it 4 helmets. I absolutely loved it. Love the references. Favorite recall was the Loki and Stark in New York City. Cannot wait for the next one.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with her on that one. I'm giving it 4 helmets as well. I thought it was very well paced. Very well paced. It was over in the blink of an eye, which stunk. But at the same time, it makes you want more. I want more. Yep. I want to see more. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be awesome. So we'll see what happens. But with that, my friends, that is the end of this week's episode of Avenger Pretenders, which means we get to say goodbye, but not until we say that this stream was unofficially brought to you by Restream. So if you would like to get into streaming, you don't know how to do it or anything like that, by all means, go to their website, restream.io. They are awesome. They got a lot of cool tips and tricks and videos of streaming and getting out there and making yourself basically like a syndicated network. It's really cool. So check them out, restream.io. And we will be live tomorrow for the Sully Show at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you lock it in for that, where we've got a great show planned out for you, which JT wants to give information on, and I'm not going to let him. just a little teaser for the world record story. Has to do with a very interesting, shall we call it, collection. Yes, and it'll be wonderful. So make sure you lock it in. We will be live next week for Avenger Pretenders on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you check out Loki episode 3, which will be coming out on Thursday this week at 9 p.m. Eastern. We will see you guys next week. So for the Redneck JT and myself, have a great night, everybody, and we will see you all tomorrow. Good night, everybody. See you soon.
Bye-bye.